Hey guys, Rich Florida here. Thanks for joining our course on the city and you. I just wanted to take a minute to tell you how we're adapting the course in light of the coronavirus or COVID-19 crisis. I'll tell you, just like all of you, the crisis really took me by surprise, and for weeks on end I was pretty anxious. But I found myself digging into the history of past pandemics and infectious disease. It's interesting because in 3 or 4 decades as a professor of urban studies and urban theory, I never once really thought about pandemics and infectious disease. I thought about the growth and the evolution of cities and how our cities have changed over time, how they're centers of innovation, clusters of talent and diversity, how they're really the greatest things we've built in civilization. But I never really thought about the role of infectious disease or pandemics. It's strange too, because looking back at it, my mom and dad are the youngest of their respective families, and believe it or not, they were born in the 1920s, which means most of my aunts and uncles were born during the great pandemic of 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic. Also, I was born in 1957. My mom was pregnant with me in the middle of a pretty big flu pandemic back then. No one even mentioned that stuff to me. Maybe it's because we just want to forget these health crises. But the point of fact is, looking back over the history of great pandemics, 1957, 1918, the cholera epidemics that swept through Europe and U.S. cities, the great plagues that swept through Europe earlier than that, none of them have really been a stronger force than infectious disease. None of them have been a stronger force than the power of urbanization. Our cities have always prevailed. They'll prevail again this time. And so I wanted to add this module to give you a sense of how we cope with pandemics, the way this COVID-19 pandemic will reshape our cities, the fact that our great cities like New York and London, Madrid and others, Tokyo, Singapore, Shanghai will survive, and the way that this pandemic may well reshape our cities and our suburbs as well. I look forward to spending time with you during the course. I hope you have a great time. We've tried to build this course to make cities an exciting experience for you. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Glad to have you with us.